This meeting is being recorded.
Order are the regular meeting of the Board of Directors. This is the 1440th meeting. And we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Raymond G.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Yes, Chair Tanny.
Here.
Vice Chair O'Carroll is absent. Dr. Mount.
Here.
Dr. Carter.
Here.
Director O'Carroll is absent.
Thank you. Okay, we will start with item number 4.1 under presentations, proclamations, and recognitions, and this will be the year in review highlights of 2024.
Wait on my presentation slides to pop up there. But I'll start off with saying good evening. My name is Nick Davidson, Recreation Manager. I am here to present our 2024 year in review. This is something we've been doing for the past 3 or so years, where we highlight all of our achievements for the Park District in that year. Of course, we've done more than what's just in that packet in front of you. So this year review packet we do display on our website and throughout all of our social medias for the community to see. So I'm just going to go through some highlights of the year, so kind of a condensed version of the year review packet that has been published as of today. So I'll start with the Recreation Department. So in 2024, we had 22,000 plus event attendees, over 30 events. And one of the highlighted events in this year that was new was a summer fun run that attracted 208 participants. That included a run through exciting obstacles like Water Slide Mania, Agility Course, Color Explosion Station, and the legendary Lagoon. That's water feature. Making it memorable for all ages. It was a great family day event. Youth camps, we served nearly 200 campers with 34% increase in 2024. We had a successful summer camp session with 8 different themed weeks in total. Well, all the camps that we had, not just maybe the summer camp growth in summer, but all the camps combined, we had 16,203 hours of campers. Our facility and field rentals, we had 300 plus rental contracts that occurred over the year, so providing recreational opportunities for the community to take a leisure at their own employment. And then next slide is Fair Oaks Preschool introduced a new preschool program. Currently enrolled families called the Tiny Turtle Explorers Club, which allowed additional time for kids to interact with each other and enjoy original opportunities with their peers. So that was a great success in addition to the preschool this year. United Soccer League with San Joaquin Unified School District. This is, I might have mentioned this in previous conversations here. This is with the EL program with San Joaquin Unified School District. This is the second year that we did the program. We had 200 students participate in it from 2 different schools. It included 8 weeks of practices and then some friendly matches and a tournament at the end with other schools, the San Joaquin Unified Schools that participate in this program, which I think is about 9 total. And then the Fair Oaks NFL flag football, there were 18 teams across 3 age divisions. And then this is actually a slide that's not in the year in review packet, but it is something I present to you annually to kind of make sense, kind of just throw this in this presentation. So this is our recreation revenue year over year, or activity guide time spans. So to kind of walk you through that, the light green is 2022, the medium color green is 2023, and the dark green is 2024. And then on the bottom there, you'll see the different activity guide scans, the January through April, May through August, September through December. You will see some little fluctuations. So this is transaction-based revenues. So it's not deferred revenues. This is actually when the transaction happened for whatever program people participated in. But as you can see on the year over year there, we do have a steady increase in registration revenues over the past 3 years. So that is a good sign. And not in here is kind of percentage I can tell you for the fiscal year 24-25, so at the midway point, we're roughly about 42% of our revenues, which is just right in line to be on track to exceeding our revenue goals. Seeing that if you look at January and April and May through August, that's when we get the most of our registrations. And then parks maintenance. So moving on to parks department, they do some general maintenance accomplishments throughout the year. We restriped the parking lot at Bannister Park to allow for safer, more efficient enforcement. Cleared out stormwater channel behind the preschool and reinforced positive flow using rock base for the flooding. Applied security upgrades to picnic tables at Gun Ranch to successfully prevent vandalism. They did a lot of playground maintenance to the surfaces of the playgrounds, and then some regular inspections and monitoring to alleviate safety concerns, and then also installed an ADA swing at Fair Oaks Park. Make it more accessible to those with disabilities. And also tree maintenance, performed safety and structural pruning for over 500 trees throughout the district and planted to designate various trees throughout the parks. Their work order management system, so they're able to track kind of how they do all their work programs throughout the park. They clocked over 1,600 hours of staff time by utilizing productive parks. And so also the records show that the district utilized over $60,000 of staff labor to accomplish internal maintenance needs without contracting or outside work. Going on to arts and entertainment. We had a second annual Garden Gala for the arts this year. This is in a picturesque horticultural center, and it was a tremendous success, raising over $11,000 to support the arts program, foster ongoing cultural development in our community. And then we contracted with a marketing agency, as you're familiar with. We had an RFP that went out. We selected Grey Dot Media, and we are in works with them to help us increase our program participation, and we're meeting with them actually Friday to look at the overview of what to expect with them. And some additional arts and entertainment. Worked with VBO tickets. That's who we'll be utilizing as our ticketing platform for the amphitheater. So working on streamlining that process and making it easy for the customers, and then the integration will come to all of our platforms that we use on the website. They adopted the public art policy, and then amphitheater seating. The district initiates the installation of ADA accessible seating in the amphitheater, enhancing park accessibility sightlines and inclusive patron experience for live performances. And then administration, policies and procedures. The district adopted 4 policies this year: the donor policy, the public art policy, chair dedication policy, and the tree protection policy. Also this year was the sale of the South Tower at Miller Park, which we sold the lease for a little over $2 million. That will help us with facility improvements and program improvements. Then Statusfy. Statusfy is a notification program, web and app based, that helps inform users of our dog park and our bike park when there is closures due to rain or maintenance needs. That's alleviated phone calls with like that to ask if it is open. And then just wrapping up here, we had a significant number of grants this year. I'm not going to go and read through all of them there, but we did have a plethora of grants, which I think is really great that we're looking for funding outside of our normal means. So a wide variety from recreation to administration to arts, and parks. So, really awesome. We got that many grants this year. And I'll kind of show you another slide here that, you can see in the far right corner, is we got nearly, $2 million, grant funding, in 2024. So that's either received or, awarded. And so there's some other statistics on the park district. And, that is, what I got. Any questions?
You indicated there were about 200, almost 200 kids in the camp. How many can we accommodate, and what is the age range?
So age range is, Mary, correct me if I'm wrong here, I'm gonna try my best, is 6 to 11, and then we do have some, counselors in training also. So approximately for our summer camp, it's around, depending on what we have going on that week and the trips, around 50. Right?
Yeah, we can usually accommodate a little bit more than 50, depending on the field trip and the availability of the transportation. And then we also started doing a couple years ago Tiny Turtles Camp at our preschool. So that doesn't run every single week that regular camp does, but that gives an option for 3 to 5 year olds to also participate and get an introduction to camp activities. So yeah, and that would take about 20.
Kind of interested in that. So the capacity, do we have capacity to expand that program if we had demand?
We're a little challenged with our facility, space right now. Potentially, as we open up our facilities, we could look at, additional camps. Yeah, and we do plan to do that too. Any other questions? Great. Thanks so much.
Okay, we will move on to audience and public comment on non-agenda items. So any person may address the board on any subject. Each speaker is limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. So I have a public comment request form from Leon Burkos.
Hey, thank you for having me speak here. I'll try to make my 3 minutes. I basically just have some questions. I get a lot of people asking me things like what's going on, and I'd really like to hear it from the horse's mouth as opposed to from people out the street. So just a couple things. For example, I think I mentioned it to you when I ran into you once. There's, you had a change order to the playground for some kind of ADA thing, right? We've got issues. I don't know if it's been resolved. Mike's been helpful, but he often says, you gotta ask the board this. The repaving of the streets on both sides of the park. I don't know if you can answer this because it's common, but somebody can maybe answer it on an email. Like, for example, we had an ADA problem. Was that an architect's problem? Was that an engineer's problem? Was that a construction people problem? Who pays for that? Does my tax money come back and have to pay $200,000 to make these changes to the playground that weren't really our fault? It was the design's fault. I don't really know who's paying, but people ask me and I don't know what to tell them. I just think it'd be nice if people knew who pays for these mistakes. And hopefully it's not us. Secondly, I don't know where you guys are with your parking meter issue or discussion. It's been ongoing for a while. I'm going to give you my 100% support. I think it's a great idea. I think it's going to be an eye-opener and a lot of adjustments for the village, but I think it's in the long run, it's going to be good for everybody. We're going to get used to the fact that you can't park all day on the street and give some value to the parking places. Lastly, on that issue, I would like to, on behalf of the citizens and FOVEC, I've been involved for 7 years, I'd like to get the park district to support FOVEC in our now almost 3-year quest to get the parking spaces on Fair Oaks Boulevard between Shangri-La and Carmelitas, surveyed. Nobody knows who owns those. We have parking problems up the wazoo, or not necessarily problems, but adjustments up the wazoo once you guys open, especially if you do meters. We can't solve the parking problem if we don't know who owns the spaces. We've been asking Desmond's office for almost 3 years, and we get a lot of, yeah, we're working on it. Well, that's ridiculous. And with what's going on with you guys in the next 6 months, we really need to know who owns those spaces, because.
Sorry, thank you. That's
Wait 3 minutes? Jeez, that was quick. Okay.
Thank you, Leon. Those are all issues that are important to us too. And so we've been working on parking as well. And then in regard to both kind of the paving and the playground or any other sort of, there's been any error made, that our intention is that whoever caused the error pays for the error.
Good.
So that is front of mind, I think, for all of us. So
Yeah, and if we were to try to do that right now, start a lot, whatever the thing is, if it were not ours, I'm sure you can imagine that would stop everything now.
Yeah.
So obviously we want to keep the project going. There's been so many delays. We want that for the community, which of course everything is paid for from the Measure J bond. That's where everything is paid for that reiteration. And so of course the board wants to make sure everybody is liable for whatever has happened, and want to make sure that we continue as we have to put the use of all the funds from Measure J properly. And that's what we've done. That's the commitment of the board. That's what we're going to continue to do. So, yeah.
but thank you for voicing those.
No, I agree. I mean, I understand. You're not holding us up intentionally, leave. And I understand contractors and where you're at, but people ask me and I don't know what to tell them, so I don't want to tell them.
Tell them to go to our website, tell them to come to a meeting, tell them to look at the documents. I'm so proud of how transparent our district is. If people actually want to take the time to look instead of just ask out loud to the air things. So everything's on their website. They can see, our change orders, right? Everything is on the website.
Yeah, I saw that.
So they can follow along, and also they can get updates by coming to our meetings. They can get updates by seeing the board agenda online and downloading it.
Do you know when you're going to vote on and or decide about the metering situation?
That is not on our agenda tonight. I'm not sure when it will be.
But it's going to be discussed briefly about on parking. Mike will be discussing that, so I would recommend sticking around and hearing tonight what he has to say about what our next steps are going to be in that direction.
Mike, the survey, like, who owns what land? Unfortunately, that's county, right?
That is county.
We have nothing to do with that.
No, but your support, because at the end of the day,
And that's where the master plan comes into play, right? That's where we talked about.
at the end of the day, parking is going to be an adjustment for everybody. Whether or not you go meters or you don't go meters, there's going to be 200 events a year, When you have an entire block on both sides of the street saying, reserved for the bike shop, reserved for the real estate office, and the county cannot tell us who, like, in front of my property, when I bought my properties, they told me, oh, I own the 4 spaces in front. I might not. I might not have the right to say save for Badfish, save for Badfish, save for the flower shop. Save
We
for
all agree it's an issue, it's important.
But any other entity that can throw in the hat and say, this is really important to the village, might light a fire. We've been working on this, Mike will tell you, for almost 3 years.
We're aware.
And we don't have any answers. And when the events happen, those spaces are going to be very critical to visitors, to customers of the stores. And
I'm definitely open to, depending on what that would look like, signing some sort of letter saying that we would look forward to the county taking the lead on that. I don't see an issue in that.
And it's just, we do have a meeting, Chairperson Glenda and I have a meeting with Supervisor Desmond
week or so. It's coming right up to discuss parking, and we will probably be discussing those around the surveyed spots, non-surveyed spots in a roundabout way, and probably will be directly talking about them because our conversation will probably impact that issue.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure we're going to be in conversation about that.
And I think the village parking is an issue for us, even though
It is.
we pretty much know what we own around the center there. And we did some research with the county when we acquired the parking lot on the corner and some things with the old salon there.
Totally.
The county confirmed for us who owned what. And now I think we're pretty solid on what we own around. But I think we do have an interest in that. In my 10 years on the CPAC, I was shocked by how little surveying there is here. And what there is 1895 surveying.
Yeah.
We had projects come in where people were going to build and found out that their property line was 25 feet in a different direction, which I guess they must have resolved years ago, but that's the state of some of the.
That's fine. And I just think to Raymond's point, any kind of a letter or saying, Park District would really like to see this happen, is really gonna help. Because right now it's just, we don't have an emergency
I think that's a
association.
good idea. Now, the county has a GIS database that shows property lines, and utilities and things. Is that not definitive?
I can't answer.
Yeah, that's what we need to find out. This is primarily a phobic problem, but I do think we have.
GIS is not definitive for property ownership. GIS is only definitive for tax purposes.
Well, parking is definitely one of the top issues for us, especially when it comes to, as part of our opening the new facilities. So we're going to continue to work on it. Like Mike said, we are meeting with Supervisor Desmond in a few weeks. So be certain to, and we should have more information after that meeting for everyone.
If
There's
that's
a big
GIS,
survey that came through here in the 60s. It's called when they put Sunrise Avenue through.
well, if the GIS system is definitive, and I know Rich and other county people have access to that, and if it was used for tax purposes, it would have to be definitive to catch people on what they own.
Negative.
Oh, okay, there's some work to be done.
It's like the APN map, the tax maps are good for taxation, but you can't define your property lines off of tax maps.
All right, well, thank you. I
Interesting.
appreciate the discussion.
And I will, if it's on the board, I will continue to dialogue.
Yes, please. Thank you. All right, seeing that there are.
So I do have somebody online though.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Lindsay, go ahead and unmute yourself and then you can go ahead.
Hi, I guess you guys have heard me. I couldn't come. I'm at work this evening, but I just wanted to comment as a real positive thing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, very, very.
Loud. I'm sorry. The Miller Park is wonderful. So the changes have made it. I've heard nothing but positive comments from families. People have actually been saying they like to go there on non-school hours. I've seen people playing golf there, and it's been a great experience. I think the changes we've made have been positive, and hopefully we can continue this. It's been wonderful. But I just wanted to say I appreciate your hard work.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you.
Yes, we appreciate that feedback. Thank you very much. Any others?
And then I did just have a written comment come in.
Okay.
This is from Rebecca. She says, I wanted to express my gratitude for taking action after the last meeting and removing the problematic disc golf balls from Miller Park. In the months since they have been removed, I have personally seen people on the field next to the tennis courts playing football, practicing snowboarding, and people picnicking. My children can now run freely through the grass area and they are having so much fun. Also, I have seen a significant increase in non-disc golfers using the park. So again, thank you for your action.
Thank you, Rebecca. We appreciate that feedback too. Any others? Okay. All right, so we will move now to our next item, which is the consent calendar. Do I have a motion for the consent calendar?
And it can be brought up perhaps
when that one change order is discussed, but I did want to talk more about the change orders and wanted Mike to talk more about that. I don't know if the best time to do now or to wait. Now?
Let's do it now,
Okay.
since it's under the consent calendar.
Sounds good. So the one that I would like more clarity on is the PCO 182A.1, which I think
Is that the 1, 2, or 3?
that's a great question. I think it's, we'll do, try and load again. I had all of these. They kind of meld together a little bit. It's moving very slowly.
What was the number on it?
PCO 182A.1. So it says, at least we have it. Yes. That one.
182A1, you said?
182A. Okay, there we go. Actually, is it even one of those three that you?
Or the 33,000?
No, this is the 121,000.
Yeah, it is. It's it's number 3 on your agenda.
Oh, number 3.
Yeah.
That's the change order 3.
Yeah. Change order.
Pull that up.
Right.
Yeah. So I didn't see in there, what specifically is the electrical that's in there compared to, like I couldn't see in there what electrical it was talking about. And then it also seemed to have included another change order specifically for the hangar door. So that also.
That's a board report that you'll have.
I know, but in the actual change order that's still loading that I'm talking about, I didn't see clear detail on what the actual electrical work is for 109,000. And additionally, up there, yeah, there it is. There it is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I think I did have this pulled up like 7 times, but I see, obviously, I understand what the hangar door revisions are, but what is the electrical, and then as that relates to the electrical that was in the PCO 174A.2, because I know there was electrical done with that. Underground conduit boxes, F&I wire, lighting, fixtures, control, at least to me, I call that electrical.
Yeah. Some of it's rough-in work and other of it is finish work. So you have electricians doing finishing work on it. The other thing, this is all for the amphitheater seating area and the area around the wall of the amphitheater. These are 2 separate change orders with 2 different tasks in them. There's subtasks within those tasks, of course, and including trenching, for an example, for the electrical, the conduit, and all those other things like that are necessary to get that in. The backfill, and then the grading, the rough grading is separate from the final grading for that facility as well. Final grading is obviously more technical than rough grading, and so it takes more energy and time, and they just finished that up as a matter of fact.
Well, so that grading, wouldn't be classified under electrical.
The rough.
Would it? Because this says trenching and backfill for electrical, so kind of what you're saying sounds more like that, which is.
It's also electrical work. If you'll go into the quite a ways further down, I didn't have time to dig all this up, what page it is.
Because then in the change
on page 5 of that, if I'm reading this correctly, you should see a breakdown. The U lights on site, existing conduit, no credit, connecting conduit, U lights quality, the installation of new and replacement U lights. So these are all the lighting for the seating and aisles on that.
It says the scope covers VSASI 31-26 survey.
It's on page 5 of the PCO.
This is page 5 of this, so I'm not sure that's what you're saying.
You've got an 81-page document here.
Right, so this is saying page 5 for me, and so it's saying survey, trenching, and backfill performed by others. Scope. What I'm saying is it shows as number 2 under the budget code trenching and backfill for electrical 6,000. So that's why I'm not understanding the specific on 109,000. Does that make sense?
They're two completely separate.
Right,
Pieces of work.
and so where is and then the change order request R&D Electric that says cost proposal number PCO 051 on page 8. So is that what that is specifically for? So the 109,000 for electrical is, or 60 something thousand is the labor, and then 32 is material, and then all of that material is in page 9. Is that correct?
Continuing, yes. And you have all the diagrams of them and everything else. Yeah, that list on page 9 is the material that you're as part of this change order.
Okay.
And this change order, just to be clear on this change order, this is a change order directly related to the seating of the amphitheater. You've approved a $940,000+ budget for the amphitheater seating. This is the amphitheater seating component. It isn't going over budget. It's not a new additional cost. It is the cost associated to the budget you approved for that work. We have to put it into the allowance because that is how this kind of stuff is done. We added that component to the scope of work to Paul, who is subbing with these folks. And so it is within the scope of the budget. It was already anticipated these costs, and these costs aren't additional costs. They are costs of that project.
So of the 940, this is
This is
100.
200,000 of it.
Okay, so
Yes.
it's not 940 plus this?
No,
Okay.
no.
Thank you.
So the allowance is synonymous with contingency, correct?
In this piece, and it probably will be for the road. We're still trying to get all of those elements worked out in terms of the contract and how that will work. The way to get this done quickly and to pay the subs for it was to get it into the allowance and stay within that 946,000 and change that you've all approved. And if it goes over that, it becomes a change order that either has to go to you or it's drawn against the allowance more than likely. Because we do have an allowance in that 946,000 of 15%. So we'll see changes still in that, but you probably won't be approving those because there'll be minor changes and they'll be drawn against the allowance, which is still part of the $846,000 or $946,000, excuse me.
So it raises a question in my mind, if I may. I don't usually get down in the weeds this deep on these things, but looking at the signatures of who approves these change orders, our architect does, some cases I guess you do.
Final.
Yeah, and then the contractor signs off, but who, does our project manager or anybody else look at the validity of these change order requests?
Yes, if you look at page, on this one, I mean, you'll even see some markups. If you look at page 8, you'll see the red line on that, on page 8. That is from our construction manager.
The fact that they eliminated the $2,500 sub backup request, that was our consultant removing that
Yes.
from the total bill and telling
Yes.
them, no, we don't need
That's
it.
the people with the knowledge reviewing these and then putting these into this format. So yes, I don't have
That
the
was my-
skill set necessary to say, hey, we don't need this stuff in here.
Yeah, I was wondering who other than the architect has the skill set, and it's also
And as an independent person, they're not associated with the architect, construction, they work for us. There are eyes and ears on these
So
reviews.
that applies across the board when we have these kind of changes,
Yes.
not just for the seating, but the
Everything.
Okay, good.
Do you have any
Good
follow-up?
chance to ask that question.
No.
It's a great question, and I appreciate it. I know it's a little confusing because of that separate budget for the seating. We're tracking that independently though, so we will be able to report specifically on that line item, that 946,000. So you know that these items, this 121 and 109, will show up in that budget when it's final.
Are there any other questions on any of the key orders or anything else in the consent calendar?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we will move to agenda item 7, new business. 7.1 is the monthly Fair Oaks Youth Advisory Board report.
My name is Matthew. I'm chair of the Fair Oaks Youth Advisory Board. So last meeting, we went over the Easter extravaganza and our yearly gift card collection of gift cards from the local stores. We signed up for next month's family dance event, which I'm personally really excited for. We did sign-ups for the Grange, which was last Sunday, and it went really well, and I'm excited to do it again. We also went over the possibility of the park cleanups as well as the repainting of the interior bathroom of the park. And then lastly, I think last month, Director Carhart asked me what we would do to spread our hygiene bags. And I asked Mary about it, so now I'm going back to reply that we donated it to food banks, which then spread out to the community.
The Fair Oaks going to build a food bank.
Yeah.
Great, good work.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you for your report. All right, item 7.2, discussion of possible action on the nomination for the Sacramento Local Agency Formation Committee, also known as SAC-LAPCO's Special District Advisory.
Yes, so SAC-LAPCO has invited all the special districts in the Sacramento area to, if you choose and if your nominee accepts, to nominate one of your directors to serve on the Special District Advisory Committee. I believe that there are 14 vacant seats, and they've split the terms into 2 different types of term. You can do a full year term or you can do a 1-year term. Meetings are held quarterly, and there's no associated costs with it. And if you would like to nominate someone, you need to do that by January 31st.
Since John isn't here and since he used to head up this organization, we ought to nominate him.
Oh, jeez.
It's really something, you know, someone like Raymond James and sat on the CPAC.
I've done it. I did it.
It's important to have that background, yeah. If we ever decide to incorporate it, it'd be nice to have somebody.
Yeah.
Is there anyone interested in doing this committee, Special District Advisory? I'm unable to. Okay, I think we're gonna pass on nomination. Thank you. Tell them thank you for. Okay. All right, we'll move to item 7.3, discussion and possible action regarding a change order of $77,454.71 for the Veteran Memorial Amphitheater hangar doors.
Thank you. This change order is one that you have asked me to bring any change order over 70,000 to you for approval. This one obviously is over 70,000. And it is for the hangar door, which is the door that we can close at the amphitheater to allow us to have the black box today, or to secure the facility in between shows in the summer. So it's a very important door, and it is a custom door. There's no off the rack. You can't get this door at Lowe's. And it is basically an airplane hangar door. And from the initial plans for this door, the panels for the door are no longer available. They are discontinued, and the product used for those 2-inch panels is discontinued. So it's a custom product, but you still have to have material necessary to make it. And so it is now a 1.5-inch thick panel, and that changes the framing of the door, the installation of the door, and the actual materials for the frame of, or the covering of the door, if you will. We already have the frame up. We already have the motor up. We just don't have a cover on that frame. And so so this is the skin of that. And that's what this change order is for. It is no longer 4 panels, but it's 8 panels. It was going to be 4 with a 2-inch, but that doesn't support, the 1.5 does not support that width or that size.
So Mike, this is not a design flaw.
It's not a design flaw.
This is the case. Don't we have provisions in our contract that the contractor requires the materials needed?
You know,
Isn't this the contractor's problem and not ours?
I can't answer that question. you're gonna see other ones come up with materials that have changed from the time of design. Remember,
But it's
design,
not a flaw in the design. I think.
no, material change.
Our contract manager ought to certainly weigh in on this on the other side and say, if we have something in our
Sure.
provisions that say, you know, the contractor usually lines up the materials they're gonna do. If there's a big surprise 2 years later, they don't have it. That seems to me like it's their problem.
I mean, it does seem like when did they go about finding out the door or the doors were not available?
I don't have those timeframes. It wasn't, a week. They didn't order it last week.
But they bought the doors.
We got the frame, The frame, yeah, these are custom.
Yeah.
There's no, like, they don't ship the door,
But we bought the frame.
The frame is custom.
The contractor engaged.
When you
with the
say
supplier.
custom though, you're saying that they made it themselves.
Somebody made that door, yes.
Right.
For
So
us
they-
specifically.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. But it wasn't like the same company.
I can't answer that if the skin is the same company or not, I cannot answer. If you want, we can get more information. I can bring the architect in and he can fully answer those questions. I am not of that knowledge.
Because the other thing that I wonder, I mean, is there really no other one that makes a 2-inch hanger door? That was the other thing that.
These are the panels of the door.
I know, but there's no other company that does a 2-inch that we have to fully say visit into 1.5.
Yeah, I can't answer that. The only thing could potentially answer it is going to be a warranty issue.
If the whole.
That's the only thing I could possibly answer on, and that's.
Well, the warranty, it looked like was only 2 years.
I can't answer that question.
It would seem if this whole thing was custom, if the entire doors were custom, and they've been up, the frames have been up for some period of time. I'm not criticizing you.
No.
I think ISC and our architect should give us a definitive answer to why this is our problem, why this is our cost.
Yeah, I just feel like I have a lot of questions. I would like.
I'm happy to bring this back in with the architect and ICS if you would prefer that.
Well, so is it the architect and who it would be ordering the door?
The WMB, the architect.
Then yeah, let's bring them back.
If he admits it's a design problem or something well beyond what's required of the contractor, usually there's specifications for these kind of things. So anyway, that would be great. I'd rather wait till next month.
Sure. We can do
Okay, so
that.
that's the directive. Like we would like to have the architect too, and any other party that you think would be helpful in explaining.
Yeah, I'll check. I'll check
Questions that
I'll
we
check with the
asked.
architect to see
Okay.
if he believes that there's another party that can answer better than even him, more precise.
There has
If you have a question on the contract, that may be something we want to have another party look at, maybe ICS. Or our attorney.
I think this is something either the architect or the project manager should be able to handle. And,
Definitely the architect.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I will do that next meeting.
So no action taken on that item. All right, so we'll move to the next item, 7.4, discussion and possible action of an approval of an increase in the amount of $904,935. $904,935 to Bobo's contract allowance for the amphitheater seat.
Yeah, I misquoted the number, didn't I? It's actually the $667,000, not $900,000.
Okay.
So, or the 900, excuse me, the actual seat replacement is $904,935. The reason why it is showing here for an increase in both contracts only at $667,335 is because we, as the district, have bought elements of this project, the seating, for an example. We have directly ordered those ourselves. So those are on us, but it's still in that 900,000 plus amount that the seating budget is for. So what we're asking here for is an increase in the contract amount to Bobo. It will be for the allowance increase. It'll be for $667,335. And that new total for their contract will be $22,817,000 or $22,817,112. So it it is for the seating. You've approved the budget that we presented. That's the exact amount of 904,934, but 600 plus will go to Bobo for the work, including those two that we were just discussing, 100, just over 200,000 for that. So we're asking for approval to the allowance to Bobo for $667,335. Important, a couple important things here. One is that our allowance is almost all spent. We were able to credit the allowance just under 200,000, just over 200,000, because of that seeding that you just saw. So we credit the allowance that amount because the seeding is a separate line item. And that allows us then to have about $100,000 left in the allowance. So it isn't a heck of a lot of money left in the allowance. We're going to come back to you to increase this amount again, because we have the road coming up. As I mentioned, that's going to increase this budget cost for this project. That money is separate money as well because it comes from Senator Padilla's office, the $1.4 million. So we're working these amounts into the allowance. We don't know if that's the best way. We're trying to figure that out. But for the short term, that is the best way to get the seeding going, or we'll be delaying this project. Now, for the road work, I hope we have this finalized prior to the road work. So if we're going to do this, we're doing it in a way that makes a little bit more sense. But it's unusual for these types of amounts to be thrown back into a contract. And these amounts are $900,000 or $600,000 for the seating, and then some amount for the road. But the bottom line here is we were asking to increase the allowance to Bobo and their contract for $667,335.
So, question, right now, before the road work is done, if this is approved, the total cost of the project is $22.8 million.
To Bobo.
To Bobo.
Remember, I just mentioned we bought some seating from the district.
Yeah.
We have bought other things as well.
Now, the other question I have is, we'll spend all the $905,000 for the seating, and we might go over.
We have an allowance. I hope we don't. But that's the best answer.
Yeah, it looks like we're still in line to do it for the estimated.
There's no indication that we'll be over this point in time.
And then approving this wouldn't supersede us not approving the hangar door, correct? Because.
Exactly right. You're exactly right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah,
Because that amount though of the hangar door would be within that change.
The hangar door is not part of the amphitheater seating, but it is part of the allowance, the base allowance that we have. In that
And it's still under 900.
You're correct. And we have that amount in the allowance currently. If we take out the 200,000+ for those other change orders you saw and just discussed, again, those are under the budget for the amphitheater seating.
Okay. Well then, I'll make a motion to approve the increase, the amount of $667,335 to Bobo.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so our next agenda item requires us to go into a public hearing. So I'd like to hear a motion to open a public hearing.
That motion.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we are now in an open hearing and we are going to receive testimony regarding the new rental rate fee schedule for the Fair Oaks Performing Arts Center. So, Jen.
It's me. Good evening, Board of Directors, Jen Schuler, Arts and Entertainment Manager. So today we're going to present what we put together for the new rental fees for the Performing Arts Center. A lot of the fees are geared towards those groups that might want to rent the space for performances specifically, but there's also some things that were sort of pulled out of it to show if you just wanted to rent the space for, say, a class or an activity or anything else that
isn't performance, performance meaning tech, like lights and sound and anything else might be a company that ticket sales as well, sorry. So I figured I'll do kind of an overview of things that might be confusing on this because there's some different elements to it. Can you zoom in a little bit, Ian? Because I think I can't read that for sure. So at the top of this, so this is a master sheet. Each of these sections I do have pulled out. So say you're a community partner group, you can just download that sheet to review if you'd like. But this top section is our front of house fees. So this is anytime we open the box office, there are a lot of fees that accompany being able to pay for tickets and have people come up to the window, print them out. Those staff that are in there as well, and any type of just the equipment that's in there, the paper that we have to buy, ink, all of those things. So these are flat rate fees for performances. They are broken down into community groups, nonprofit, commercial, as well as the different venues. So the amphitheater, we got the black box in there, and then each additional performance has a different fee attached to that as well. That was my spiel on that. So all of that makes sense. It might be easier to have questions on each section as we go, as opposed to coming back around. But you can also just interrupt me if you have a question. So the next section, which also might be confusing because it's also related to the box office, but this is really for ticket setup fees. So each time we have to set the fees online, that takes time for us to implement like all of the different times that a performance might happen, all the different information, to post it on our webpage and use our ticketing software, VBO, that Nick mentioned. So we do have a fee that's attached to that. It would be a one-time fee for, say, a couple performances if it's duplicable. But if I can duplicate it easy, sorry guys, that's scary. But if there's a lot of changes to each performance, then there would be that fee per performance. That makes sense. Then we've got some ticket fees here. So each ticket sold, there'll be a $3 fee attached. That fee will be incorporated in the full ticket price. So say you want to make $18 on your ticket, make sure it's $21. Also attached to that, and this can go either to the user group or to the patron, and that is $1.50 for our ticketing software. And then I've written in here a fee for comp tickets. So say you want 10 comp tickets, each one of those you have to pay $4 for, just because you don't get some of those processing things out of that. But we do have a cap on that, so on a different sheet, it has all of the breakdown of all the different ticketing fees specifically, which we can go over unless you guys are tired of me talking about fees. So that all makes sense. This is sort of broken down into reserved and general admission, as well as free events. They're the same for the most part, except for general admission is a bit easier for us to do our online service, so it's a smaller fee for that. But this is the same for either the black box or the amphitheater as well, because it's the same system.
How did you decide on all these fees?
You want me to tell you now? Yeah.
Well, I'm just kind of curious. Like, did you look at other entities?
Yeah, I looked at pretty much everything else in the region, as well as a lot of the theaters that were sort of in our AMS report that we were compared to, and then some other ones that I've worked for, and some of my research just either in California or abroad that sort of look similar to what we're doing, and so they're very comparable. I think we're kind of in the middle ground. I think some of our usage fees are really generous. I think our ticketing fees are actually pretty much the same and actually very generous too. If you've ever been to a show, if you've been to a game or anything, fees are crazy these days. So I think that we've kind of hit a moment where we can recoup our costs, but you don't feel like you're being gouged or anything like that. So I feel like I personally feel like it's a good spot.
What's commercial?
Pretty much anything that they didn't have a nonprofit, so they wouldn't be tax deductible of any kind, so they're not coming back. But I mean, you could have like a corporate office that wants to rent the space for performance or something, or they're just for profit too, so that would be what commercial would be.
And this could be updated again I mean, do we plan to kind of review
Oh.
annually and see, do we want to change? And all
Yeah,
that?
you need to do that for all your fees, so we'll be,
Oh, that's
we'll be revisiting this as
Okay.
well.
Oh, yeah, that's the same, yeah. Every year we'll look at it. I mean, obviously, we haven't actually seen it in action yet, so
Right,
once,
right.
we'll know soon if this seems really low or too high or need to be adjusted in there.
Right.
So, dog?
Well, great job.
Oh, thanks.
I don't have any questions. I'll make a motion to.
Oh,
you.
Oh,
Well, I had.
You're not, she's not done.
Oh.
Well, the board.
Yeah.
To be honest.
No, I did have a couple of questions. Darren and I.
I mean, I can go over the last couple of sections, just so
No,
like the people in the meeting, I mean, if you want,
I just had a couple of general questions. I could throw them in now.
Yeah, sure.
When Darren and I reviewed this as a community resource committee, I think we were happy at the end with that, and we were going to recommend it to the board. Have there been, could you just highlight any changes that were made?
From that meeting, well, originally, there was in the box office fee specifically, we had that one-time setup. I had put in there that each time we do a performance, there would be a box office fee, but we made that into one flat fee if it's easy to duplicate. So that was one change that we made. The one correction, I guess, from that meeting that I said wrong to you guys was that per ticket fee, the $1.50 is per ticket, not per transaction. So that was the other big change within that. But otherwise, there wasn't much else that changed in here at all.
Okay. The other question I had, I guess I got a couple of questions, but what's the nature of the people that will be coming in to use these facilities? Kinds of performances or local dance groups or comedian or stuff that. First of all, there's the category of the events we do ourselves, okay, which I assume.
Fees won't really matter
We
too
don't
much.
run
So
up-
when the ticketing fees, right, if we're doing a presented thing, we'll have our ticket service fee will be incorporated in there, but fees won't matter that
But we don't run our own events through the schedule. We only run events where people come to us and want to rent the facilities.
Yes,
Correct.
correct. Yeah.
And in other venues like this, just a couple of samples of the kind of things we would expect to come to us.
Right now, most of the interest I've seen as far as renting the space has come from like performances. So like you said, dance groups. I've had a interpretive aerial environmental piece that was brought to me, a dance group just this past week that someone mentioned. Then community theater groups, I've had a few of them reach out. I've had a couple schools talk about it, but I'm not sure if they'll want to. That some most schools have a space where they can do theater. But those are the ones that have reached out so far. Obviously, we haven't pushed a lot of our marketing for that. So we don't have any pictures to show to of what the space would look like. And now that we have the fees, maybe we can start to drum up some ideas. Those are the ones I would think would want to rent the space the most in this capacity, right? Because they don't have a venue like this to do something.
Yeah, that gives me a good idea there. Now, because the questions I get most are from Fair Oaks Theater Festival, which has been around since the mid-'80s. And we went over that. You have reviewed that with them.
Yeah, we met with the community partners, or reached out to them. Fair Oaks Theater Festival did come to that meeting, and we talked through all of these fees and what that would look like. But as we've talked about, the first time they come and do a show with us that first year, their usage fee is waived. So.
Yeah. They're on very precarious ground right now, from what I understand, talking to them. They've had a number of board resignations and new director and a real precarious funding situation. So again, my hope is that we never throw an existing community partner under the bus. So it would be nice, maybe not tonight, but run through for somebody on their board a potential scenario for using the thing beyond the first year fee waiver.
Yeah,
To
so
see if it will remain viable for them and then hear from you what the feedback is.
yeah, so with that, I did create a worksheet that we couldn't attach it because it's still in Excel. It's on our website though, I think. Maybe it didn't get it up there, but we'll publish it. But I gave it to Ian so he can pull it just so you can see. We'll make sure it's online so you can access it, but it basically, I mean, my little spreadsheet over here has spots where you can put in all of the times you would need to be in the theater in each theater, and it will calculate that for you. I've also built one where you can calculate what the ticket price should be in order to have a 5% return. So they can play with that. It's a tool for our user groups, and we'll, make that accessible to everyone. But I did go over that with Faro Seder Festival too. We ran what it would be if they had to pay for the space. And so they got to see what that looks like. There's also a spot for them to put in their own fixed costs too, because obviously doing a production like they have costumes and props and technicians, and I think some of their actors are paid as well. So they've got a lot more fixed costs than say someone just coming in to do comedy show or something like that.
Yeah, so I'm fine myself with approving the fee schedule, but given your meetings with them were some time ago and there's a lot of dynamic changes that are making them very shaky, I want to make sure that, that you on the side talk to them and make sure it'll still work, talk to maybe their president, make sure it still work, because if it's going to sink them, then, I'd like to revisit it at a later time and see what adjustments might work or something.
Yeah, so when we met with them, they had already informed us that they weren't going to participate in 2025. So they were already aware of the issues that they're going through. So we've already extended that same contract we were going to give them in 2025 for 2026. And like we said, we want them to stay around too. So if we do need to adjust, if it, they come down to it and they can't, we'll figure it out on it. We want them here in the village.
When we did the first tour, this was quite a while back, but we went upstairs and you were showing me this could be like a little VIP sort of box area where people can enjoy a show, but then also have access to food in the kitchen. People can congregate and talk. Are we still developing that portion of this? Because I don't see any kind of pricing.
Yeah, no, that's still conceptual at this point. There's almost a half to be worked out, including accessing that in shows, stuff like that. We think it still work. We think it's a good
That would
idea.
be super cool for like a small business or something like that to be able to get up there.
It's a sub-component of the overall operation. So we're trying to get that overall operation, set, and then we'll move into those sub-components.
Okay.
I will say that space will be up for operations as well. That spot at the top where the windows are, that is where like the stage manager, where some of the technical equipment will be, and then spot ops might be up there as well. So I think it's a really cool idea, and it'd be great if we could find a way for it to both work. But we do have to make sure that we're able to do the productions that we need to do out there as well. So.
I have a quick question.
Are there any other board questions or board comments or questions? So I think we should probably let Jen finish and hopefully I'll answer your questions. If not, then we'll get to your questions. So why don't you go ahead and finish, Jen?
Yeah, so the bulk of the fees, switch back. So that's the spreadsheet just for people who want to get your eyes on it so you know how to recognize it when you see it online. But there'll be a clean one. That one was an example of a commercial user coming in for like a one-night show of some kind. But I'll post the sample one. So the bulk of the fees are broken down into community partnership, nonprofit, and commercial fees. I tried to break them down in a way that made sense for a performance, right? So fees for Monday through Thursday are discounted than it would be for Friday through Saturday, as those are peak hours for the district to do anything, as well as, that's when people are going out and seeing a show. So trying to break down, there's the amphitheater fees, there's black box fees, they're broken out into performance usage. So I blocked those out in 4 hours because most of the time I think you can, depending on the type of show, you can be in and out in 4 hours. And those are quite a lot smaller, those fees, than the hourly per performance fee. So as you kind of see, like right at the top there, it's $400 for 4 hours, but $120 per hour, right? I'm reading that correctly. Yeah, I can see. As well as then there are rehearsal fees on there. So there's like a flat rate for 4 hours for rehearsal if you wanted just to use the space. That's with minimal tech. That would also be for, say, a tech rehearsal. So you're trying to test out your tech. That would be the fee for that. So that's without audience, right? And then there is also just a per hour rehearsal fee. So say you want 5 hours in the space and you have that 4 hour block plus an hour. That's a little complicated, but I think my brain, it works. I think it reads easier, but, so that's the bulk of this. I don't need to read each fee because I think that will take far too long, but obviously one of the second to last section, and if you scroll, there's a section of additional fees. Which is just, we have, some special tech items that are going to be brought to our new space. So I do think they take some, we need to take some care with what we do with those. So, if you come in and you really want to use all the microphones we have, but you didn't bring enough tech support, we do have a fee for additional microphones with an extra audio person. Say 10 microphones, one audio person is not enough to kind of contain all of those. So we do have, fees for that. We have an extra fee for projector since it's a very, very nice piece of equipment. Security, if you have alcohol, the most confusing one on that might be the new seat map. So if you don't want to use our standard seat map that we have for the amphitheater and the black box, and you want to do reserved seating in one of those spaces and want to change it, then our ticketing software will charge us to make a new map. So that's what that fee is. But I highly doubt anyone's going to come in and want to change it too much, but it's included. And then that last section, that's our staff fees. So as of right now, we will require our technical supervisor, which we'll hopefully bring in here soon. And then I will start to require a house manager, so someone to manage that box office and ticket sales. Obviously, if you want some of these other crew members, then we can figure that out for your personal tech needs, or if you have your own and our tech supervisor signs off on those, then we'll be okay. So that's my big spiel for the most part.
One more question. If these seem aimed at performances, but what if somebody just wants to come in and rent the Black Box Theater for, a party or a dinner or something like that? Does this apply, or how do you?
Yeah, so actually, I'm glad you said that, because this is the section I think was left off of the board packet. So this has broken down to what would be just for an hourly rate. So most of those fees relate to our performance rates too, that are in the bulk of the sheet. But those would be what those breakdowns would be.
And that would be commensurate with the cost of renting, say, the clubhouse?
Yeah, they're fairly similar. I think the flex room is the easiest one to kind of compare. It's like about the same size as McMillan, they're thinking, so it's fairly comparable.
I would think we're going to have a lot of demand to start using those facilities more than the demand for performances, perhaps, initially.
Yeah, possibly, but there might be a bit of a juggle because we think we want to activate the space in that way. Performances wise, less with like meetings and things like that. Granted, if there's freeze time in the schedule, we can rent those out for sure, but we want to make sure we didn't rent it out and then we're like, oops, we can't do your really cool show kind of thing. So we're going to make sure we're cautious of that too.
And I suppose we'll probably use all of those facilities, Black Box and the other rooms, for our own rank programs.
Oh, of course, yes. We're very excited.
Well, this was a lot of work. Thank you.
And all those hourly fees, it's a 3-hour minimum for everything.
For the one, just not a performance. I think we have it 3 hours.
For because I highly doubt you're gonna be able to get a security guard to come out for 1 hour, so.
For performance space so when you're doing a performance, that's that 4-hour minimum.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't see that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, maybe I can put a stipulation in there. Maybe I did.
Is the 4-hour minimum would apply to using this facility?
For the performances specifically, like if we're gonna have a performance and then we're serving alcohol and concessions, it's a 4-hour minimum. They can't have less than that 4 hour. They can't just go, I just want 2 hours.
Says that on the bottom line, 3 hours and 4 hours.
That's for non-performance, just for this space. Yeah, I'll make sure that's tagged in there. It's not, it just got missed. Yeah.
Any other questions from the board? Okay. Thank you for being patient. Who wants to go first?
I just have a couple. I feel stupid by asking this, but what is it? What designates a community partner?
Oh,
They get a special fee, but I don't know, am I a community partner?
I can try to answer that a little bit. So
Yeah.
community partner is a contracted group that provides a service to the community that we are unable to maybe handle by ourselves. So it's usually a service-oriented group. It could be anything from like a service club to a sports club. that offers recreational that aligns
So it
with
could be
our
soccer,
goals and vision.
could be Fair Oaks Soccer. it could
Like
be
Fair
Rotary.
Soccer, Little League, Williams Lions Clubs.
And then what I didn't see anywhere in there, and it might be in your contracts, but sometimes when you do these things, there will be an option about insurance.
Yeah, that's in our contracts.
Will you like, I don't, someone wants to rent something and it's Fair Oaks Soccer, or somebody else, a commercial person that wants to do a comedy show. They don't have a commercial policy, so can I buy from you insurance for that day? Something.
We do partner with, I shouldn't say partner, but we do offer, Hub International is the company we worked with. You can actually go online and get quotes for your specific needs. And if that works for you, you can acquire the insurance through there. And that will
Usually don't we just require an additional insured from whoever the party's insurance agent is, right?
If they have
If they have it,
If they have.
they might not have one, so yeah.
And generally, a non-entity outside of us, we cannot let them use our insurance.
Right.
Yeah.
That's basically.
Okay. That was it for me.
Yes.
Yeah, I just, on the schedule, the fee schedule, I noticed that, commercial, community partner and nonprofit for the flex room, the fee was the same for all three, and I was wondering why you're not giving a break to the nonprofit and the community partners on that flex room, because that's most likely where people would want to meet, but you kind of said you don't want to use that because of the performances, but still $44 an hour with a 3 hour, or I don't know, is 3 or 4 hour minimum is expensive for us, little nonprofit.
Jen, you indicated it would be pretty similar to the clubhouse rent.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
Clubhouse
it's
rent, we do have those
exactly the same
breakdowns.
price as Millen, I want to say, but I think we kept it at 44 because our community partners, we do have a discount that you guys can use.
So the 70% would apply to this.
Yeah,
also.
so you can use it on that. So I wanted to keep it kind of in that level, because like I said, that space will be backstage anytime there's performance happening. But we don't necessarily see it being available as often as, say, the Clubhouse or Macmillan or something like that as well. So I didn't see the need for it to go up higher
You
for
said
those
there's a
other groups.
discount for nonprofits and partners?
Yeah, it's
From what you told
So it'd be
me.
70%
off of 44.
Oh,
Yeah.
So it's like.
For a contract partners.
Partners for the contract.
I didn't
community
catch that,
partners.
sorry.
Yeah.
There's a lot in that.
Yeah.
Just so you know, that's for contractor community
Community
partners.
partners.
If you're a nonprofit, you get the resident rate, if I'm not mistaken. Which is 44.
44, yeah.
Non-residents typically pay a little bit more.
Oh, so the community partner is something different. The nonprofits wouldn't qualify for the 70%.
No, no.
Correct.
So Jen, is there something in this
So
thing?
like we'd have to pay $44.
Correct. Yes.
Correct.
Is there something in what we're going to approve tonight that links those discounts and the three different types of centers?
Well, they're attached to the fees, the
Yeah.
2024, 2025 school year fees. I mean, we can put them next.
So you guys did already approve those fees in the fee schedule for fiscal year 24-25 for community partner group usage. It was
For the
not
black
for
box and
this.
No, not for these spaces, but.
I'd like to
for-
see some linkage because we're going to approve this fee schedule and we need to, formalize that those discounts and those different kind
Well,
of
it's
renders.
my understanding that that discount is built into the contract for the community partners, so they can put it on to any fee that they have in any of these. It's not attached directly to that community clubhouse fee. But I mean, we can put a note at the end that says that, just
Might
to
not
restate
hurt.
it, but yeah.
When we're all gone, it might not hurt.
When we don't remember.
We don't know what a community partner is. We're confused by.
There's about 20 community partners. They include the tennis organization, the historical society, the dolphin swim team. There's a number.
It doesn't include FOBAC?
Doesn't include FOBAC?
So one of the pieces of the community partners is that they essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, but I know that there's like volunteer things that those community partners do for the park district. For example, like Rotary will stuff 5,000 Easter eggs or something at the Easter. So that's also part of it. So it's like a give and a take, if you will. So, I mean, we have an application and you can apply if you'd like to. I mean, that's something that we can get for you.
Does the
So,
group still
sure.
include a list of our community partners? So our guide, our quarterly guide, somewhere in there, will show you the list of the community partners.
Another website. That was on the website.
Yeah, we do have an I'm sorry, Bert, did you have a question?
Yeah, just a real quick question
Yeah.
on the ticketing. Is there an
Oh, but
option
it
for
was in the
self-ticketing,
park.
or does the ticketing have to be run through you?
Yeah, we have to use our own software.
All right, well, thank you.
And I just want to clear on that too, because it's a good question. If you have an event that's not open to the public, you're not running through our ticket system. So if you're just doing it through your school,
Like a private event?
yeah, and the public can't come into the door, there's no ticket.
Yeah, thanks for that clarity.
Thank you.
Yeah, like a graduation or something.
Yeah, I was thinking.
You buy out the
A
space.
family reunion stuff. right?
Yeah, that.
Exactly.
Yeah, correct.
Well, thank you, Jen. If there's no other comments, we're going to close the public hearing. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so now we will move to that. We have a resolution that has this new fee schedule in it for the Barrow Performing Arts Center, which approves the new fees, and it also gives the district administrator and the arts and entertainment manager authority to waive or reduce program and facility rental fees. That was all included in the chart that was provided to us. So do I have
I will make a motion that we approve and adopt resolution number 011-525-01, revising the fee schedule, approving new fees, and giving the district administrator authority to waive or reduce program and facility rentals.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move to agenda item 9, board and staff reports. We'll start with items from the board of directors. Ralph?
Caught me off guard,
Oh,
but I'm
sorry,
somebody else. Go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, you know, one thing I did want to mention was that, I mentioned this to Mike, but Nancy Rawls, the widow of Don Rawls, our scholarship honoree, former board member, she passed away at the end, I think it was December 27th, so.
For hearing. Raymond James? Darren?
I don't have anything.
I also don't have anything this evening, so we'll move to items from staff. Jen, do you want to go? I know you're just talking. Do you want to go first?
Oh, sure. I mean, I think it got published in your year in review, but this week, yes, was that yesterday? Yesterday, we got the risers delivered to the black box. So that was very exciting. So if you were trying to drive down Temescal at like 7:30, 8 o'clock and there was a big truck in the way, that was our fault. But it's very exciting. So now we can actually, once the floors are set in that space, we can set those up and it'll really start to feel like a theater. So that's great. Thank you.
I will say that the lighting looks really good when you drive by at night.
Oh, it looks very
Yeah,
pretty,
it
right?
makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
I keep getting comments from people that still think that it looks like nothing's going on. So maybe in your report, you can talk about what's going on inside that we don't see and outside.
Nick, do you have anything?
I don't know how to
Sean, I see you're online.
Yeah, good evening, Board of Directors. Just a quick update that I'm still working on our exploration of Bannister Park as a potential site to move the disc golf course to. It is going a little bit slowly getting a surveyor at this point. I've received a couple of quotes that aren't quite what I'm looking for as far as the price range is concerned. I'm going to continue my investigations. At this point, it's just slow because I'm not getting very rapid responses from potential contractors. So I'll continue on that, and I'll have an actual board report when I have something to actually report.
Hey, Sean, has there been any progress on determining the boundaries of Bannister Park?
That's what I'm looking for the surveyor for.
I see. Oh, okay. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Sean.
Of course.
All right, Jen. I don't have any. And Mike?
So a couple of things. We talked about parking, the parking meeting coming up. This is an important thing. We're starting to advertise. You've doing a great job getting the word out on that. Oh, yeah. That'd be great. Thank you. We will have public outreach meetings to discuss parking where we're inviting the public and the businesses, specifically the businesses around the village, not just around the park, but in the village as a whole, because our work and whatever we do with parking will impact well beyond our park itself. So those meetings, the first one is Saturday, February 8th at 10 a.m. at McMillan Center. We will be doing a short presentation on what managed parking could be, depending on the board's approval. And then the second meeting is February 13th, which is a Thursday at, what time? 12 at 6 p.m. at McMillan Center. So one on Saturday in the morning and one on Thursday in the evening. And at that time, we're going to take public comment and talk. We will also be bringing it to the board. I don't have a date for the board meeting, when that'll happen, but it'll be sometime after February, so maybe March, maybe April, depending on what comes out of these meetings and how ready we are to present to the board. We want to have those public outreach meetings prior to going to the board, so they know that we've talked to the public about this parking management system that staff, myself, is proposing at this point in time. And then the public will be able to, I'm sure the public will be able to comment at the board meeting in relationship to whatever kind of presentation we bring forward to the board. The board will make their determination to have an additional meeting on it, approve it, deny it, whatever they choose to do. So this is a really important element and early in the process for the public to get involved. And so I highly encourage, whether you want to see managed parking or not, to attend that meeting and hear what we have to say, and we'll take what you have to say, and we'll be recording that meeting as well as bringing those comments to it. So it's an exciting opportunity for public engagement. And we tried to get those at 2 different times, so it's a little more convenient for folks, the evenings and the weekend. And hopefully we'll get some business involvement. We also have a survey, I believe, and that survey is active currently. Yes. It's currently active. We have QR codes out on the parking area around the park. You can get the QR code. It's also on the website.
It will be up as soon as we do.
So we're just finished up the questions just a little bit ago. So it'll be up on the website. We encourage you, if you don't or can't attend the meeting, that you go to that survey and have your opinion there. We will compile those and bring those into the public meeting as well as the board meeting. So you'll know what's going on at that point in time. Am I missing anything on that? We're gonna hand deliver invitations to the businesses. Okay. So we're actually gonna knock on the door and hand deliver this. So, because it's real critical for those folks.
What about some of the residents that are around, property owners, other businesses?
We hadn't done it, but we can definitely do it. I don't know where our parameter would be, 2 blocks off, 1 block off, or right around the park.
Well, in the old days, when there was parking all the way down to the bridge, and one of the problems that was parking issue was raised for the whole extended village, including the residential areas. It's all kind of integrated. So at least for a little bit of the perimeter, you can
Okay, well,
signs maybe enough.
We have signs up, but we'll we can stretch out a little bit further. It would be, I don't know if I have the capacity at this point between now and February 8th to canvass the village. I mean, the entire community.
Well, just signs or something.
Yeah.
The signs are little.
Yeah, we have those up.
Yeah.
They're currently up.
So we're taking the lead on this.
And we're doing social media. We're doing all the other motions. Like all the other motions.
So we're taking the lead on this. It's not a partnership with Boback.
No, it's just us.
Just us.
Yeah, just us. And remember, we do have a parking ad hoc committee from the board that you've identified. And that would be Director Irwin and Director O'Farrell. And so we haven't discussed if they'll be attending those meetings. I suspect that they may. So it's not absolutely essential, but they may want to, and I would encourage it if they want to. So
Great.
And then yesterday a bunch of us attended a meeting with Sacramento County on a new Senate Bill 946. It's actually not real new, but it is now being implemented. It is being referred to as sidewalk vending, and this is now being enforced or allowed to happen. If you have a business license and if you're selling food, if you have a health permit, you can come into our parks without any kind of contract and sell your wares.
You use parking spaces?
No, you have some restrictions in sites, and no, I'm not gonna tell you all those, there's a bunch of them, parking, sidewalks in front of a police station, no, you can't do that. But we do have spaces in the park that potentially would be okay for a sidewalk vendor to access and to use. And we don't have the ability to enter into a contract or anything for that. It just is going to organically happen.
They have to, though, it has to be during our hours.
Yeah, our normal park hours, correct.
You
And
understand.
it can't be permanent.
Right.
And it can't be, there's a.
And we have the right to check for their,
We can ask for it and they don't have to show it, but we can then ask the county to come over and do that based on they're not showing it to us.
So we can let them know that we'd like to see it. If they refuse, we can say, okay, no worries, and let them know that we are going to
Yes.
inquire with county. Okay, great.
Yes. And then we
Well,
have
I hope
to.
that's our policy.
We have to, yeah, and what's gonna happen next, and here's a couple of more timeframes on this. This is really interesting how it's playing out. I find it really intriguing. It's going to the County Board of Supervisors, January 28th, the draft, because this is a county ordinance for the unincorporated areas of the county of Sacramento. And we have to follow that ordinance, of course, just like anything else. There's gonna be a second reading of that ordinance, the ordinance on March 4th. And this is the implementation of it that the county is going to have. And we're gonna follow that, I'm proposing that we will follow that implementation of the county ordinance, and we will pass our own policy based on that county ordinance. There will be some slight changes. One, for example, in the county ordinance, it says you cannot sidewalk vend if you have a county permit for an event in the park. Well, the county doesn't issue permits for our events in our parks. So that's a modification that we'll make. And of course, we'll have the same modification. It'll say you can't vend in our parks if we have something like Chicken Fest. So you're not going to be able to walk into the park and start vending stuff during Chicken Fest
or concerts.
That's an area that we're going to have to talk a little bit about because it's not the full park. So it's a
Why wouldn't
section
we
of the
just
park.
create events every weekend?
And we could also
We
make
could,
that.
Why wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we?
It wouldn't cost us anything. We just say we're having an event in the park and.
I don't know. I would want to check with an attorney on. That's what I would hate to be challenged in a.
Well, we can all discuss.
Certainly
when we
would
get
want
to
to
it.
do that.
Yeah.
So
So as we go through this policy, we'll bring all those elements up through the policy. You'll have an opportunity to make those kinds of possible changes in the counties. And I'm guessing the counties, and my counter to that was why wouldn't the county do that for all of their parks too?
So anyone
And I
with,
suspect they won't.
Why are we even having?
It sounds like we'll get more information after they have their meeting on January 28th.
No, you won't get any more additional information. We've got all the information.
Okay.
And they're just presenting it on the 28th to the county.
Okay.
So the health department, the parks, county parks, they're presenting it to the county. There may be some modifications after the 20th. And that would be from the county board of supervisors.
Okay.
Yeah.
so it'd be interesting to know what our authority or what our checking and stuff. Presumably somebody comes in and wants to set up a rolling cart selling hot dogs in the plaza. We're gonna check to make sure, or we could check to make sure
We'll
we
ask.
have a health department permit, a county permit, or whatever else is required. As long as we're not doing something there, some event there, then they have the right to do that. I assume the local restaurants could do the same if they wanted.
They could. And there's restrictions again. They can't set up within so many feet of a restaurant and, there's a bunch of other restrictions that are already part of that will be prepared for the ordinance to the county board of supervisors. And we saw those and they're pretty typical what you'd expect. You can't have amplified music. You can't, all these things.
Now, what about liability? We assume the liability because they don't have to have insurance or anything else to do that.
It's a great question. We'll have to
If
check.
somebody gets sick.
They should
from
have to
hot
have the
dogs,
insurance.
Yeah, they have to have a business license. I don't
Everything.
They have insurance, so.
Wonderful.
Any other items, Mike?
And, yes, the construction, you asked about the construction. We are doing a ton of paving. If you've been around the park, around Park Avenue primarily, which would be the backside of the park there. A bunch of that, we're preparing the walkway, for it, doing the framing, for all of that. We're doing the front entrance, the walls, the seating wall, or the walls for the ramp and the stairs on the front of the Performance Arts Center. Inside, we're still working electrical, all of the low voltage stuff is going in, the door scanners, the lights, a ton of stuff in there. I can't even tell you how many things are going on inside there on that. We got the acoustical panels up in the clubhouse. It's an amazing difference when you walk in there now. If you recall what it was like before, Ralph, I'm sure you remember how loud that facility is. It is a whole different experience when you walk into it now. So those acoustic panels are all up on the ceiling in there.
How's the lift coming?
I just saw a change order on that today, so there was a change in terms of some attachment for it. So it's still moving along. It's not up.
Is the timeline of paving the roads still?
It is sometime in the spring of this year. Best answer I have.
I've seen they demolished the curbing along Main there and the stuff that was too low.
And that's all been done, yeah.
It's looking better.
Yeah, and the playground, they're continuing to do the drainage, this grading on the playground. We've got the inside of the amphitheater seating, inside the area where the seating will be. That's graded. All the electrical's going in currently, and we're supposed to have that done 30th, expected on the 30th. And so that way we can order those seats and get the seats in. And as Jen mentioned, we have delivered the risers for the black box. And I think, am I missing anything? Anybody else been around the project as much as me? So anyway, that's about it. There's quite a bit going on, actually.
Still going to do landscaping and planting in February or March?
I don't have the time frame for that here.
That's what it was in the schedule.
Yeah.
Question I get from people is the presumption that the road work is the controlling factor, that everything else will be done so that when the road work is done, there's not a bunch more stuff to be done on the project.
I'm guessing some of that landscape will be around that same time. So it would make some sense. But I'm also not a construction.
I appreciate the update. All right, so we will adjourn now to our regular meeting of February 20th, 2025. Wow, at 6 p.m. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We don't get to ask too many questions.